Hello viewers and welcome to first PUC accountancy class. In the previous class, we have studied about the second chapter, and in the second chapter we have analyzed the basic concepts which will help an accountant in the process of preparation of accounts. In today's class, we will focus on the remaining aspects of the second chapter, that is theory base of accounting. The concept for today's class is the basis of accounting. What is the criteria, or what is the basis, or what is the system based on which the transactions are recorded, or what is the system based on which the entries are being recorded in the books of accounts. That is called as basis, or the one more name for basis is the system of accounting. Importantly, there are two systems or two methods which can be applied or which can be used by the business organizations to prepare the financial statements. The first method or the first basis or the first system is the cash system. The name itself suggests it is a cash system, or in simple words, under this system the entries are recorded when you actually receive cash or actually make the payment, and the receivables and payables transactions are completely ignored or they are not taken into account. To give an example, suppose the rent becomes due on 30th of April. 30th April, the rent is due. That means you are supposed to pay the rent on 30th of April. You have the legal responsibility to make the payment of rent on this particular date. But actually you have paid the rent in the form of cash on 30th of May, that is in the next month. So the transaction in the books of accounts will be recorded on 30th of May and not on 30th of April. Actually, the legal responsibility has arisen on 30th April itself, but you have paid it in the month of May. Therefore, the cash is actually going out of the business. Then you are recording the transaction as on the date when you made the payment, that is 30th May. This is an example for cash basis or cash system. In the same way, to give another example, suppose you have sold goods on credit basis in the month of January. Sales in the month of January, credit sales, and you have received the amount of the same sales in the month of April. You have the legal right to receive the amount as per the accrual concept as on January, that is on the day of sales, but the actual cash was received in the month of April. Therefore, in the books of accounts you will record the same transaction in the month of April because you have received the actual cash, and you will not record it in the month of January as per this particular system. Cash basis ಅಥವಾ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ನಿಂದ ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದೋ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೋ ಅಥವಾ ಪಡಿತೇವೋ ಆವಾಗ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಅದರ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ಅಥವಾ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಈ ಹಿಂದೆನೇ ಅರೈಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಅದರ ಲೀಗಲ್ ರೈಟ್, ಆ ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಪಡೆಯುವಂಥ ಅಧಿಕಾರ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಮೊದಲೇ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಆದರೂ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೋ ಅಥವಾ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೋ ಅದೇ ದಿನದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಒಂದು ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಕಟ್ಟಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾರ್ಯನಿರ್ವಹಿಸ್ತದೆ. ನೀವು ಬಾಡಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಎಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಪ್ರತಿ ತಿಂಗಳಿನ ಕೊನೆಯ ದಿನಾಂಕದಂದು ನೀವು ಬಾಡಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. 30th ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. 10,000 ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಟ್ಟಡದ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ 10,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ನೀವು ನೀಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ 30th ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್. ಆದರೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಆ ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಥವಾ ಬಾಡಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಪೇ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬದಲಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಅದೇ ಅಮೌಂಟನ್ನು ಮುಂದಿನ ತಿಂಗಳು ಅಂದರೆ 30th ಮೇಗೆ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ಪೇ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅರೈಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು 30th ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ಗೆ, ಆದರೆ ನೀವು ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು 30th ಮೇಗೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಈ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಈ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನನ್ನು 30th ಮೇಗೆ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, 30th ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ accrual system or accrual basis. As per the accrual basis, the transactions will be recorded in the books of accounts when the business has the legal right to receive the amount or the legal responsibility to make the payment, and they are not recorded when the actual cash is being paid or the actual cash is being received. So this is quite opposite to the cash system or the cash basis. When the legal right to receive any amount or any income or receipt arises, immediately you record it as a receipt in the books of accounts. You may receive the cash in advance or you may receive the cash in future. That doesn't matter. When the legal right has arisen, during that day, you record the transaction. In the same way, an expense is also recorded in the books of accounts when you have the legal responsibility to pay the same expense. You may pay the expenses well in advance or you may pay the expenses in the future date. Again, that doesn't matter. Accrual system ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಯಾವಾಗ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ಯಾವಾಗ ಆ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಲೀಗಲ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ನಮಗೆ ಅರೈಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೋ ಅಥವಾ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅರೈಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೋ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೇ ರಿಸಿಪ್ಟನ್ನು ರಿಸೀವ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಅಧಿಕಾರ ಯಾವಾಗ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೋ ಆ ಸಮಯದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ accrual system, the receivables as well as payable transactions are also taken into account. Or to tell you in brief, the outstanding expenses, outstanding incomes, prepaid expenses and pre-received incomes are being adjusted into the books of accounts as per accrual system. I will give an example. You are supposed to receive 1 lakh rupees from a person. You are supposed to receive 1 lakh rupees from Ram because you have sold goods to Ram on credit basis. I will give you an example. You have sold goods to Ram worth rupees 1 lakh on credit basis. That means amount is not received immediately. Amount will be received on the future date. You have sold goods as on 24/10/2020. As on 24/10/2020, you have sold the goods. You will receive the value of these sales on 30th of the same month, 30/10/2020, received cash. Now in this example, transaction has taken place on 24th of October and the payment is received on 30th of October. The legal right to receive the amount has arisen when you have sold the goods, that is on 24/10/2020. Though the actual cash has been received on 30/10/2020. Now, in the books of accounts, this transaction is recorded as on 24/10/2020 and not as on 30/10/2020. Next aspect is accounting standards. We are aware that the books of accounts are prepared to communicate to the interested users. The interested users or stakeholders will make use of this information and they take the necessary decisions. We all are aware that the accounting information that is communicated to the interested users must be uniform and they must be in a position to compare these statements in order to take the correct decisions. There is a concept called as generally accepted accounting principles. When the particular principles or concepts or guidelines are being generally accepted by all the business organizations, it becomes easy for the preparation of financial statements in an uniform basis. By realizing the importance and need for having consistency and uniformity in the process of preparing the financial statement, the accounting standards were introduced in India. There is a body called as ICAI. ICAI stands for Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Now, this is the supreme body in the country. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has established an board which is called as Accounting Standard Board. Now, this Accounting Standard Board has the authority or the power to issue the accounting standards related to accounting profession. Now, what are accounting standards or why these accounting standards are important? Accounting standards are the written documents or policies which are applied by the business organizations at the time of preparation of financial statements in order to have uniformity and comparison of these statements. The next concept is accounting standards. We are aware that accounting statements are prepared in order to communicate to the stakeholders, to the interested users. When such statements are being prepared, there should be some consistency or there should be uniformity in the process of preparing these statements. Only then we can compare the statements and draw good results. By realizing the need of such uniformity and consistency in the process of preparing the statements, the accounting standards are being developed or accounting standards are being issued. Now, there is a supreme authority in the country which is called as ICAI. ICAI stands for Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Now, so this is the supreme authority or body which governs accounting profession in the country. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, by realizing the need of such consistency and uniformity in the process of preparing the statements, they established a board which is called as Accounting Standard Board in the year 1967. So, in India currently Accounting Standard Board which is governed by ICAI has the authority or power to issue any accounting standards related to the accounting profession. Now, what are these accounting standards? Accounting standards are a set of written policies or written documents which contain certain rules and regulations in the process of preparing the financial statements by different business organizations in order to have uniformity and consistency in the preparation as well as to compare the financial statements of different business units. Accounting standards ಗಳಂದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವು ರಿಟನ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿಗಳು ಅಥವಾ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು. ಒಬ್ಬ ಅಕೌಂಟೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು ವಿಂಗಡಣೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಹಾಗೂ ಆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ನಾವು ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಆ ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲವುಗಳನ್ನು ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಗಳು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ಅಕೌಂಟೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಸಮಯಕ್ಕೆ ಅನುಗುಣವಾಗಿ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುವಂಥ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗಳನ್ನು ಪರಿಗಣಿಸಿ ಈ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Now these accounting standards will be issued by the Accounting Standard Board depending upon the changes in the business environment, depending upon the rules and policies which are formulated by the government and other authorities or bodies. First, the Accounting Standard Board will identify the broad areas relating to the business organization which needs some uniformity in the process of preparing statements. After identifying the broad areas, they will prepare a draft, what should be the policies or guidelines relating to that particular broad area, how the transactions have to be recorded, and this draft will be presented to the general bodies which consist of members from the government, members from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and other industry and some economists. All the parties will be involved from different areas, different sectors. Then it will be discussed, finally it will be approved, it will be given for the general public for approval, and any changes are there or revisions will be made, then finally it will be issued as a standard or as a written document. That means from that date onwards the same procedure has to be followed by all the business organizations at the time of recording the particular transaction. Presently in India there are 29 accounting standards which have been developed by the Accounting Standard Board based on the broad areas or the broad aspects of accounting. By realizing the need to have a uniformity, these different 29 accounting standards have been developed. The next aspect is International Financial Reporting Standards, which are popularly called as IFRS. The accounting standards are used in India. The Indian accounting standards are applicable The Indian accounting standards are applicable for the business organizations operating within India. But there are some other business organizations who are operating at the global level, or if we want to compare the performances of business organizations which are in two different countries, then we need a common base for comparison. In order to facilitate such comparison and to have a common base for comparing the performance of business organizations all over the world, the International Financial Reporting Standards have been issued. Now these IFRS will be issued by the International Accounting Standard Board. This International Accounting Standard Board has the authority or the power to issue the International Financial Reporting Standards as well as to make any kind of revisions or changes in the same standards which have been already issued. Now IFRS is a set of policies or documents which will specify how the transactions has to be recorded by the business organizations in order to have consistency, transparency and uniformity and comparison of statements of different business organizations. when we are operating at the global level, it is easy to compare the performances of any business organization with the performance of other business organizations only when you follow international financial reporting standards. So, these IFRS are the globally accepted accounting standards all over the world, and presently there are more than 120 plus countries who have adopted this IFRS in the process of preparing the financial statements. India is also a member of International Accounting Standard Board, and we have also adopted the International Financial Reporting Standards at the time of preparing the statements. It does not mean we are overriding with our Indian accounting standards. Only in the areas where it is necessary to apply the International Financial Reporting Standards, only in those areas we are applying the IFRS, otherwise we are sticking to the same Indian accounting standards. To give an example, Infosys is an Indian company which has headquarters in Bangalore, our own company. Now, this Infosys has operations in almost more than 140 countries in the world. When it has operations in 140 different countries, in order to have comparison and to prepare the financial statements on a consistent basis by following same procedures and policies, they can go for international financial reporting standards. Then it will be easy for any person of any country of these 140 different countries to understand the financial statements of Infosys company in the same sense as it is communicated. Then there is no confusion, there is no misunderstanding of information. In order to facilitate such comparison, the IFRS has been implemented or they are being issued. Now, coming to the benefits of this IFRS, when we adopt IFRS, it is easy to compare the performances of different business organizations. There is a complete transparency in the financial statements, and it also helps a business organization to avoid multiple recording on multiple basis. All these are the advantages a business organization will get when they go for IFRS. In order to have a brief understanding about the second chapter, that is theory base of accounting, we have understood about generally accepted accounting principles and how they were developed. Then we analyzed in detail 13 different basic accounting concepts based on which the practices are being followed by the accounting profession. Then we understood about the basis or system of accounting. There are two systems or two bases, cash system and accrual system. We studied about the accounting standards, who will issue the accounting standards, why these accounting standards have to be issued, and we have understood about the international financial reporting standards. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.